Why, hello! I'm Jack Brunót. Welcome back to A Little Escape from Reality. I talk all things art and entertainment, not just books. But today, I went out and I bought some books, and now I'm going to show off those books to you guys. This might be my last book haul for a while because everything is getting so expensive. I also talk about video games, music, movies, and TV shows. So if any of those topics interest you and you like what you saw here today, subscribing and clicking the bell does really go a long way for me, but make sure to say hello in the comments if you're new here. Okay, so I'm not going to waste your time. So the first book that I picked up today is the first novel in the Witcher series, Blood of Elves. Look at it, look at it, look at it, look at it. I've been a longtime fan of the Witcher games, which is truly what popularized the franchise, at least internationally. These books are from a Polish author, and they were popular in Poland before the video games saw their debut. The Witcher 3 happens to be my favorite game of all time. If you are a gamer, you know how much of a banger The Witcher 3 is. It is my favorite game. However, the games are a continuation of the story from the 5 novels and also 3 spin-offs. I actually did pick up more than just the first copy, but I figured I would just talk about the first copy as a way to talk about the whole thing. These are pretty typical fantasy novels about a monster hunter. If you recognize the Witcher title, it might be from the Netflix series of the same name that fans of the series do not talk about. Now, I don't know exactly how much the Netflix series spits on the original books because I have not read them yet, but I have never seen so much hate for an adaptation on the internet, so I want to find out for myself. And considering I already love the characters in this book, I figured it would be a home run for me. I love the medieval setting. Something that I really like about the Witcher series is how it explains its universe and magic mechanics, specifically the presence of monsters. You see, these monsters are not just monsters. There's a reason that they're here. I know this is a book haul. You probably don't want to only hear about The Witcher. I'll probably end up making some standalone videos about the games, the books, maybe even the television show. But I can for sure tell you that the games have some spectacular writing, and if the books even come close, which I'm assuming they probably do because they have a huge fan base, I am in for a treat. And if you like what you hear, you are also in for. Do yourself a favor, go play the games. Next, we have this. Les Miserables. Now, all of the other books that I'm talking about, I got all at once, but I wanted to throw this in because I found it in the back of a cramped and dusty thrift bookstore, and I just wanted a quick opportunity to talk about it because I probably won't talk about it again until I read it, and this thing is massive. It might not look massive, but that is because the text in this version is very, very small and all really cramped together. So I am really interested in this book, but it's gonna take a long time. I was specifically told to read this book by one of my colleagues. They told me that it changed their outlook on life, specifically surrounding their pursuit of hope, dealing with poverty and systematic oppression. The novel follows various characters in post-revolutionary France. It's known for being a very political book, which is right up my alley. My favorite, I guess, genre or maybe like category of books are books that have a specific message. There is also a musical, which is arguably more popular than the book, even though from what I've heard, I have not seen the musical, so no judgment to people who have seen the musical or like it, but I've heard from other people that the musical is not worth it. I have not read it yet, but I am very much looking forward to it. If it's even as life-changing as my colleague said, this is something that I really need in my life right now, but just know it's very, very long. I just realized I haven't been saying the authors, and that just does not feel right to me because I need to acknowledge the people who made these wonderful works of art. If I butcher this guy's name because it is Polish, I apologize, but the author of The Witcher is Andrzej Sapkowski, and then Les Miserables is Victor Hugo, and the next novel is My Dark Vanessa by Kate Elizabeth Russell. If you are not aware of what this book is about, it is going to be a very hard book for me to read. It is a book about grooming, told through the perspective of a young teenage girl who has a relationship with her teacher. It is not a true story, thank God. However, it is obviously inspired by many, many true stories over the years, specifically some that came up from the Me Too movement. I think acknowledging real stories is very important, but for me personally, I just cannot handle nonfiction when it comes to stuff like this. I've always wanted to read Know My Name by Chanel Miller, and I will probably give it a try at some point, but it is a true story. So if you want to learn more about this kind of thing through a fictional lens, hopefully this is probably going to be a good choice. That's why I wanted to give this a try specifically before going for anything nonfiction. I have also read Lolita, which is not a true story, and if you're aware of that novel, I'm really, really glad that's not a true story. But even though I have not read this novel, I think stories with this kind of topic are very important to talk about, specifically from an educational perspective. There are just certain stories that I think we should be teaching to children or even adults. And once again, I have not read this, so I don't know if that is what this is. Maybe in the future, I will end up making a video about books that I think should be in school, especially with all of the books that are getting axed. Let me know in the comments if you want to see something like that. I think it's an important topic to discuss. The next book I picked up is Stories of Your Life and Others by Ted Chiang. This is a short story collection from a fantastic sci-fi writer. I have read a couple of his short stories. I even already read one of them from here. And another of the short stories that came from this novel was made into a phenomenal film, Arrival, which just so happens to be my favorite film of all time, which is why I wanted to read this in the first place. He has a couple of very well-renowned short story collections. What I love about his works is, as I said with a lot of the other works, every single story is trying to get a point across. Each is a speculative piece of fiction, some of which explores language barriers, limited time, faith, and identity, weaving every single story together into a fantastic collection, is what I've heard. Anyway, I know it sounds like I've already read this. I've already technically experienced 2 of the stories, but that means I have 6 more I can read in here. Sticking with the political fiction of my book haul, we have Parable of the Sower by Octavia E. Butler. I have already read the first few chapters of this novel, and I can say for certainty that this is one of those novels that everyone should read. Somehow, Butler seemed to predict our current predicament in society all the way back in the 90s. Parable of the Sower is a sci-fi that explores societal, economical, and environmental collapse. One of the big events in the novel is the massive wildfires in California, which, if you are watching this in 2025, know that that just recently happened. This novel has become an absolute must-read to understand our current society. And also, the cover, at least the cover of this edition, is beautiful. Another political one. Our next book is Allegedly by Tiffany D. Jackson. I love me a good crime thriller, especially if it has a political message. I can already hear the comments. Hey, if you want books to stop being so political, my suggestion is stop reading them. Most books are political. There's a spider on my wall. Okay. Allegedly is about the death of a white baby while in the care of a church-going black woman. Allegedly, Mary, the black woman, killed the baby. The novel explores what exactly happened and whether or not Mary is innocent or guilty. That's all I really know about it because I do want to go in as blind as possible. After all, it is kind of a crime thriller from what I understand. Our last book is, guess what? Political. It is Pests: How Humans Create Animal Villains. This is a nonfiction novel. It doesn't even have a story. Pests goes over all of the ways how humans label certain groups of animals as pests. Now, I understand if you have an infestation of rats in your house, that's not exactly a fun time, or safe. But what a lot of people do not understand is that the environment that we built over was these animals' homes. The earth is also our home as well, but we have very much taken over, destroying ecosystems, cutting down the forest, forcing these animals who used to just live in a woodland setting to live in suburbia. So a few of the species are bound to adapt and deal with the current state of the environment. It's kind of funny. I literally just pointed out how there's a spider on my wall. Recently, I've been trying my best to not kill spiders, even though I have arachnophobia. I know you didn't see it, but I went off screen for a moment and I captured the spider with a Kleenex and I threw it outside instead of killing it, because I do not want the spiders to be where I live, but that doesn't necessarily mean I need to kill them either. Killing pests in your home is definitely convenient, especially if you have a huge infestation. However, just remember that the most invasive species on our planet is humans. That's it. That's all of the books that I have to talk about today. I know this was a pretty casual video as opposed to my others. I didn't exactly do much research ahead of time, but if you liked what you see here, you might like some of my other videos. I post 2 videos a month, which includes other book videos, so if you are interested, go check them out. Remember to say hello in the comments if you're new here. Don't let anyone tell you what you can and can't do with your life. Stay safe out there. Bye-bye.